Hi, welcome to another video where I sit down and talk about mental illness, everyone's favorite topic. I've had people who are lucky enough to not be plagued with mental illness ask me what it's like to have depression or what it feels like to have depression. And in this video, I'm going to attempt to explain it to you in a variety of ways. I'm going to tell you the textbook definition of what depression is from the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is by the American Psychiatric Association, so you know it's legit. And then I will attempt to put into words my personal way of describing how depression feels for me. Yeah, we're gonna try our best. We'll get through this. Quick disclaimer that I'm not a medical professional. I'm just somebody who has mental illness and has an interest in mental illness. Take everything I say with a grain of salt and consult an actual medical professional for actual medical advice. So the DSM has an outline of criteria to make a diagnosis of depression. There are 8 things on this list. You must be experiencing at least 5 of the things on this list during the same 2-week period, and at least one of the symptoms must be either the first one or the second one, which is the first one is depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day, and the second is loss of interest or pleasure most of the day or nearly every day. 3 is significant weight loss when you're not trying to lose weight, or a decrease or increase in appetite. 4 is a slowing down of thought and a reduction of physical movement, which should be something that other people can notice. 5 is fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day, which I feel like is applicable to nearly everyone. Like, I can't think of a single person that isn't just like, I am tired all the time. 6 is feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt. 7 is diminished ability to think or concentrate or indecisiveness. And 8, which is probably the most serious one, recurrent thoughts of death, recurrent suicidal ideation without a specific plan, or a suicide attempt or specific plan for committing suicide. And to receive a diagnosis of depression, these symptoms must cause the individual clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. And the symptoms cannot be a result of substance abuse or another medical condition. This criteria is really weird to me because, like, who decided that you have to have like 5 of these symptoms? Like, I'm not exactly sure. I've had 5 of these symptoms all at the same time in my life. And I personally am also an example of high functioning depression in that even when I was at my most depressed, I was still like going to classes and getting dressed and getting up in the morning and still going about my day. I just wasn't doing it in a way where I was like obviously in a very good state of mind. I am honestly amazed at how productive I have been able to be while I'm depressed, but that's just like a personal thing. A lot of people have trouble getting out of bed or just sleep the entire day or sleep very little. It also says that depressed individuals also present with irritability, brooding, and excessive rumination, and report anxiety, phobias, excessive worry over physical health, and complain of pain. It's definitely true that whenever you're depressed, like whatever medical issues you have, depression will make it worse. It's just so much harder to have physical health when you don't have your mental health. So again, symptoms of depression are very different for everyone, and I would think that I'm not the average depressed patient. Thinking back to when my depression was probably the worst it's ever been, I remember being very much in my head. I was overthinking and overanalyzing everything. I was definitely ruminating. I was also kind of just walking around on the verge of tears all day. I also felt like it was almost difficult to move. Like, I was definitely walking slower than I used to, and all of my thoughts were just very negative. And it just felt like an endless cycle of negativity that I couldn't get myself out of. I feel like everyone's heard this metaphor before, but it really is like a dark cloud over your head. Or maybe like a weight in your brain where the weight is just like a swarm of negative thoughts. And it feels like you're never gonna get out of this really horrible headspace. It's like you dug yourself into a hole and you just don't know how to get out. When I'm depressed, I have thoughts of, I suck, the world sucks, this world is a horrible place and I don't wanna live in it. Which is why if you're depressed, maybe not a bad idea to watch how much news you read. Like, I remember walking around on my college campus and like still going from class to class and still like doing everything I needed to do, but I was just like I was just really emotional. I was just really sad. I would say now, since I've been to a good amount of therapy and I've learned some coping mechanisms, that my depression is a little bit different. I feel like as you grow and change, the nature of your depression changes over time and your relationship with it changes over time. For me, it definitely comes in waves. There are times where I am a-okay and there are times where I am less okay. They definitely don't last for as long as they used to, but most of the time it's still really tough when you've dug yourself into that hole again and you're trying to claw your way out of it. Like, the whole thing with depression is that you have to do things that you don't want to do, but when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. But the things that you make yourself do are the things that are going to make you less depressed. So it's like a really shitty catch-22, I guess. So even if you go to therapy regularly and you take care of yourself and you're on medication, you can still be depressed. It's not really anything that just goes away. It's not like a normal illness where you get sick, you take some medication, you're in bed for a week, and then you're fine. Depression is an ongoing battle, and there are going to be times in your life where you feel great, and because change is a part of life, you're going to go through stuff that's going to be a little bit more difficult, and your depression might come back. Or maybe you're just overwhelmed and there's a lot going on in your life that you're having a hard time dealing with. And I say that because I personally find that my depression can be really circumstantial. I find that when there's stressful events occurring in my life that I definitely tend to be depressed. I find that when I don't have time to take care of myself, or I don't have the ability to get enough sleep, or if I don't have the time I need to do things that just make me happy, or just time to relax, that it's really easy for my depression to come back. I personally don't think I've ever actually been suicidal, in the sense that I'm just a very logical person, and thinking about the implications of that, I would just never be able to go through with it. But I've definitely had the thought that like I would prefer not to exist, or like if I had the choice to just like disappear right now, I would definitely choose to do that, which are definitely probably equally as concerning. But yeah, that's definitely something I mostly feel when I'm like at my lowest lows. If you're really interested in depression, I definitely recommend this book called The Noonsday Demon by Andrew Solomon. Aside from the fact that he's a phenomenal writer, he did a ton of research where he interviewed people with depression and consulted professionals, and he examines the personal, cultural, and scientific aspects of depression. And I've read part of it, and it's a phenomenal book. And if you like this video, you would probably like that book. I wrote down a couple of quotes from that book that just resonated with me, because I just think the way that he puts things into words is really beautiful and articulate, and I'll just briefly include them right now. It is this acute awareness of transience and limitation that constitutes mild depression. All that is happening in the present is the anticipation of pain in the future. The surest way out of depression is to dislike it and not let yourself grow accustomed to it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was interesting to you. Whether you're someone who's not depressed, that's curious what it's like to be depressed, or you're someone who's struggling, who just doesn't want to feel alone in their struggles, because depression is definitely something that makes you feel alone and makes you feel like you're the only person who's sad and everyone around you is like happy and well adjusted, when in reality tons of people are depressed and the number is really only going up. I hope this was helpful to you or it made you feel better, and I will see you next time. Bye.